Well, thanks everybody for joining me today. Today's focus is Canva, specifically Canva Education, and really that Bulk Create feature. If you're not familiar with it, Bulk Create really kind of came to light in the spring. It was kind of that new feature. There was a whole bunch of new features in the spring, April, May, and then there was a whole bunch of new features announced in October. And the reason I mentioned that is in spring, they added Bulk Create, and then in October, they kind of tweaked it and made it even better, which is pretty cool. And so Canva has done an amazing job at listening to the users, educators being a big chunk of that, and how they can improve their products as they move forward. As a Canva education partner with Digital Labs, we get to be on some insider calls and kind of hear some of the things they're working on and things they're doing, sometimes before they're released, which is exciting. And we keep hearing over and over again how they are getting emails and notes from educators about how they're using Canva and how they would like to use Canva. And they directly take that input. So I would encourage you to use the feedback feature. It's right on the home screen in Canva. If you go down, excuse me, you can actually go into the settings and you can ask Canva. Nope, wrong side. Okay, I got flipped around. It's now over here. So help assistant, you can actually give feedback and ask Canva, hey, do you do this? And then you can actually send feedback in, which is pretty cool. So a little bit of a side note, but I thought that was pretty worthwhile saying. So today, as we get into Bulk Create, just to level set, if you're not familiar with it, and I assume you're here because you are, but if you're not, Bulk Create is really this idea of taking a design. You've put something together, you've started something, but you need a whole bunch of variations of it. You need to create name tags for all 30 students in your elementary class. I taught middle and high school history, and so I would, on average, have 130 to 150 students I was working with, depending on where I was teaching. So that's a lot of kids if I need to create something that's individualized for all of them. And there's other ways we would do that in our learning management system, our LMS. But if I wanted to print something, if I wanted to send something digitally that was their name with their specific whatever it was, feedback, comments, something to go home, right? Assignment, differentiation, then something like Bulk Create can really help, can save a lot of time. So we're going to do that through filling out some information in a spreadsheet, but it's not intimidating, like sometimes spreadsheets can be. And it's super easy and it saves a lot of time. And for some educators I've talked to that have started figuring this out and kind of finding some cool ways to use this, it's become a weekly, sometimes daily time saver, which is really the goal. We want to help you find ways that Canva can really make things more enjoyable and really elevate your lessons, but then also save you time and make things easier on you in your daily work. So we're going to get started by figuring out where is Bulk Create, how can I get to it, where are the different places it shows up, how we're gonna grab a design. So I'm just going to use a template. You're welcome to work alongside me so you can ask questions. We're going to input some data. I have some data already there. You're welcome to try just a few, right? Maybe you have a class sheet you can grab. It's up to you. And then we're going to create something, which is pretty cool. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to look at some examples. So that's kind of where we're headed. So first, in Canva, so I'm just at canva.com, logged in with my educator email address. So that way I have the education version. The only reason that that's important for this session, in other sessions, that's more important. For this session, the only reason that that's important for what I'm talking about is when I click on templates. So you may see I'm right above the text box in the center of my screen in the purple box up here. When I click on the word templates, the templates that are first going to show up, you can see what I've been searching, are education focused. If I was in a personal account, if I was in an enterprise work account, these templates would not be education focused. They would be marketing and social media and other types of roles, right? And so that's why it's helpful to be logged in with my educator account. So that's what I'm going to do there. So from the home screen, just to quickly kind of talk about where we're going, I'm going to find a template. I'm going to find something, a design I want to use that I'm then going to make lots of variations of. The go-to example for a lot of folks is certificates. Could be name tags, could be labels, excuse me. And I'm going to give you some other ideas in a little bit. For my first, just quick and easy example, I'm going to leave some student feedback. So I'm going to leave some student feedback, but I'm going to make it nice and look good. So to do that, I'm going to actually make it an email. And I'm going to only choose email, not necessarily because I'm going to send it through like Outlook or Gmail. I'm going to use my, let's just say, our Microsoft Teams or Schoology Canvas, like our LMS. But when you format it as an email, which FYI, if you're not familiar, is brand new as of October, the email templates are nice because they're meant to be in like a littler, in a smaller box that is easy to format in that space. So I'm going to start with email templates, and I'm going to do student feedback with comments and nice, simple graphic. So let's see what it pulls up for me. Now, these are templates. It's not AI generating anything, right? I'm not using Canva AI, which actually is the next tab at the top. I'm just using a template. And the reason for that is A, it's a little bit quicker, right? And for our purposes in this session, not focused on the AI stuff. I just want something quick. And the templates are usually already nice and set up in a way that are really easy to then add the bulk create feature too. The AI one created ones you can as well, but sometimes you have to do some more maneuvering. Just a small little thing there. So I can just create a blank one. I'm going to look quickly and see if there's something that can fit for some class feedback. The Christmas one's kind of fun. Obviously, most of these pictures don't fit anything I would be teaching in a social studies classroom, but I can easily switch those out, right? That's kind of the idea. Oh, I like this one. Okay, so I'm going to customize this template. Excuse me. And I like this one for two reasons. One, it doesn't have to be specific to social studies. I can easily take out some of this stuff. But I could now, and for our purposes, I'm actually going to delete a ton of this. Go. And you can see I'm just editing this like I normally would. Go. So now this is the email part. It's like a header, right? So it's this top area. And what's nice about this is now I can edit this. I can change this picture out. Maybe I have like a school logo I use or something that's like our class, our school, probably school colors, district logo, something like that, right? So the school I worked at, we were the White Tigers. So maybe it's something like that, right? So I could use that instead of these people. And maybe there are some different colors, but let's just go like over that. And this is going to be our classroom updates. And something I like to have my students do, and maybe you do the same thing, is I would have my students track their own work over time, right? So I would have them track or in their own binders, paper, not digitally, but we could do it digitally as well through a spreadsheet. That's a separate thing we would do later in the years. They would input their data from their binder, handwritten into a spreadsheet. So we're starting to get some of that skill figured out, and that's something they could carry on into high school because I taught middle school most of my teaching career. And I would have them update their or keep track of their goals, what they hoped to score on their exams and quarter, all of their homework and projects up through a quarter, and then what they actually scored, and they would compare those. So in our classroom updates, we are going to track our goals and scores. So that's what this is going to be for. That's just going to look nice. And we're going to, and this is where I can edit this. And I'm gonna leave most of this just for now, just for our purposes to go a little bit faster in this webinar. But here is where I could put a name I'm just going to put it in, actually, let's use brackets. So I know that that's where I'm going to customize this to be individualized for each of my students. And so here, let's just pretend that this is where I'm going to ask them to put in their goals, right? And the date that is due. We're just pretending, right? I know some of this isn't exactly set up the same, but we're just going to use this. And of course, I would go through and edit a lot more text if I was using this for what I had told you I was. And then here, I'm going to have them track grades. And again, date due. And the date due is also a, oh, I didn't have that up here, something we're going to fill in with our spreadsheet. And so those are easy places that I can fill in with our spreadsheet. So you can kind of see I'm putting the brackets. You don't have to. It just helps me have that visual of something I want to add when we go through. So that's what I'm going to do here. And it's really easy to add those in. And actually, I just thought of something. All right, so I'm going to add a text box. It is easier to add in a text box by itself when you're going through and adding in these different pieces. So I'm going to duplicate. Oh, give me a little plus symbol. There we go. I'm just going to do a subheading right here and do date. And then I'm going to do that again below. So when you are adding in the different boxes, places that you want them to add things through the bulk create, is actually easier to have those be as separate text boxes. It's just gonna give me a hard time here, isn't it? There we go. And so that's something just to remember, is it's easier to do these types of things when they're separate, when they're separated from other things. So that's why I did that like that. Here is one I already have set up, and I was going to share this with you in a moment anyway, so I'll just do it now. This is one that Canva created to kind of walk you through the steps, which is really helpful. And it is using a certificate as the what it's going to create different variations of. This certificate is a presentation. It's like a slide, right? It's a single slide. And we're going to create a whole bunch of variations of this. Let's say, in this example, I think it's only 8 or 9. Normally, it could be 30, 40, whatever it is. My class would have been 140 or whatever. So now it gives you the directions over here on the left. That's why I was going to share this all with you all. And here it says, select the cells that have the information in them. That's all these cells. Select bulk create. And because I'm in the spreadsheet, I can just use the actions icon at the top, which is where I was going to go next in the last thing I was doing. And then choose the currently open because it's a part of this design. It's down here. Instead, if normally if it wasn't, if I had them like in separate tabs, right, I could say choose a different design and I could go and pull that file over. I'll show you that. And then select create. It's pretty simple. So let's try it. So I'm going to do B2, so student name, right? That's important because the header is what you're going to use to tag the correct place. So you see where it says student name? Over here, I'm going to select the student name. And then where it says reason, I'm going to select reason, right? So you want those to match up. That's why I'm going to select the header. So I'm going to start with the header, the reason, and then I'm going to go down through all my data. In this case, there's only, I think, 10 of them. So I'm going to go down to 10, and then I'm going to go to actions and bulk create. And it says, is this the data? Do you need to fix that? Nope, that looks great. So I'm going to click continue. And then here's where I could choose designs that I have in my Canva already. But since it's already connected here, I'm just going to click connect or use current design. And then now I need to connect the data. So I'm going to select which one, click connect data, and then I'm going to choose the two fields. And it pulls those from the headings, right? In that spreadsheet, it looks at the headings, and that's what it's using. So those headings are important. So student name, right? And then reason for certificate, same thing, connect data. And which one is it? Reason for certificate. Now, these already have a check mark beside them because I already did it. But if it was disconnected, let's see what that looked like. So you see there's nothing hovering here. So I'm going to click reason, connect, and then I have to choose one, reason for certificate. Now it's got that little purple above it. And then we just click create. So it's going to take just a second. And then you see over here on the left, it created a new column and it has a link to every single one of those certificates. And you notice it's got the kiddo's name. Scroll up just a little bit. The kiddo's name, and it added in the reason, remarkable artistic creativity, right? And then the other place you're going to see those, if I go back to my home page, let's go to home. Now I have all of those right here. And I can add those to a folder, right? Move those so that way they're in like a contained place. But it automatically creates those separately. So I have all of those here, and I can send those individually. I can print those, whatever it is I'm going to be doing with those, right? Now with Bulk Create, I can also decide how I want some things to happen. So let's look at that real quick. So I've already picked my data. In this case, I've already bulk created these individual items, but let's say I don't want them individual, right? So if I go back to my homepage, you can see each of them came across individual. Well, instead, this time, let's select our data. Come on. All right, go to bulk create. It already has my data selected. I already have my design in here, so I'm going to click continue. And I've already selected the name and the reason, but instead of clicking create, I'm going to go to advanced options. Here, instead of individual designs, I'm going to do one design. So if you're wanting to print what it is that you're bulk creating, you're going to do one design so you can print them all at once. And I can leave the original name, or I can change the name, right? And I appreciate this, I can actually create or add them to a folder. So if I have a specific folder already created that I want these to go into automatically, I can have that set up and make sure that these are always organized in that folder and they're not like out in the main projects area. Then I can click create design. And now when I go look at that, we can see, here's the new one. All of my kids are in the one design instead of being in individual designs each. So that makes it a little bit simpler if I'm printing and I want to have them all in one place instead of individual. The individual is really helpful though, if maybe I'm sending them electronically. I have them as individual files, and then I can email them, drop them in an LMS, whatever it is that I'm doing with that. So that can be a little bit simpler. So individual maybe for electronic delivery, all in one file if I'm looking at printing them, which can be really helpful. So that's a quick way that you can adjust that in Bulk Create. Again, and the last option before you click Create, I'm going to go to Advanced Options. And that is also in our tip sheet where you can see those Bulk Create options as well under Advanced. And then you can choose individual or multiple pages. So that's the kind of quick walkthrough of what it does and how you get to Bulk Create. So let's open that back up so you can see that again. And I'm going to share this with you all. Copy that. I'm going to drop that in the chat so you're with me in the chat. I'll drop it there. If you're not, I will put it at the bottom of this catch up document that I'm going to share in a moment as well. And then that's something you can use to try to practice. And what I appreciate that is it's got the directions right here on the left, right, which is really helpful. So you have that. Excuse me. So I will open that up and add that to the bottom of that getting started document. Now, one thing that is really helpful about this is you have the chance to use this and kind of be creative, right? Like think through what are the tasks, what are the things that you need lots of variations for. So I put some of those in this quick start guide I created for you all. And let's zoom in just a tiny bit. There we go. So we automatically generated different personalized versions, and we kind of walk through what is it you need to do. Well, you need to know what your data is, and you can either do that, you can have it ahead of time, and then you'll just upload it, or you can have it and just create it in a Canva spreadsheet, just Canva sheet. Here's a couple other ideas as we kind of head towards the end here. Individualized tracing sheets. That one's kind of cute. I like this one, the customized sight words, especially for those kiddos that maybe are at different levels and are coming in at different places, right? We know you get 30 students, you're going to have at least 20, if not 30, different places that students are at. And so having a quick way to customize definitions, sight words, assignment levels. Now, I'm not going to use Bulk Create to, for instance, create 30 different reading passages. It's not AI creation, but I can send out assignments in 30 different assignments pretty easily. So if I have like 3, 4, 5 different variations, I can quickly fill that into a spreadsheet and drop it all at once to everybody. So I can do that. Labels, parent communication, picture schedules, job charts. Yeah, see that one actually, it's not passages. I meant to change that. Sorry, I'll customize that here in just a second. Word problems. I do like the word problem was, especially for younger kids, to make it personalized. So if you know a kid is really into, I'll just give my son, he's really into soccer. If something talks about soccer, goals scored, number of fouls, right, winning percentages, he's going to be way more glued in than if you're talking about something, food that was bought at the store and how much money is spent, right? Like that's just not where he's at 10 years old. But he is into watching winning percentages and how many goals and who's winning the golden boot and right, like that's what he likes. So if you can quickly differentiate with stuff like that, that's a huge win. Roll cards. I like student job charts. I think that's a great way. Goal setting. That's one of the ones I was kind of heading towards. Homework passes, group project assignments. I think those are great. And then beyond the classroom. So I worked in the district office for a number of years in Phoenix, and these I thought were pretty good ideas. FYI, I got these from what did I use this time? I used Claude. I use Claude AI for some of my brainstorming. I think it is a great brainstorming partner. It helped me come up with some of these lists right here of the ideas per grade level. Field trip permission slips, I think is huge. That can just take so much time. Parent-teacher conference schedules can take so much time. Grade level team planning templates, student trackers, library labels. So think of just some quick ways to get started. Remember to organize your data. Make sure your rows and columns are cleaned up if you're bringing or importing data. So I've seen some teachers where they take an export of their student data from like a student information system or their LMS, but then their headings don't match. So just make sure to check that before you bringing it in, because whatever the heading is labeled, that's what Canva thinks the label should be, right? So just make sure that that matches and works very well. And then, yeah, make sure you have everything typed up ahead of time. text size, yeah, you might have to change some text size. So just go through and check that. And that's where you can go in like this, right? So even though this is bulk created, I can still come in and adjust things, right? So even though it bulk created, I can individually change some things. If this kiddo had like a really long name and I wanted to make sure it looked nice and still fit for that kiddo, and really like still was appropriate and looked good for them and their family. So you can still individually customize is kind of what that's talking about. And then, oh yeah, some quick fixes, check column headers, like I was saying, expand text boxes. That's what I was just talking about. Some rows aren't generating. Look for empty cells. Bulk Create doesn't always know what to do. If there's an empty cell in a column of your data, it'll just kind of leave that column out. It kind of gets stuck. So just go back and check those things. You can always rerun it. So yeah, choose something to try, go back and redo it. Here's that link. So I'll drop this in the chat here in a second so you can go through and try it for yourself, or I already dropped that one in the chat. And then, yeah, try it for yourself. We have webinars we do a couple times a month. January, I think we're actually going to end up with like 4 webinars because there's all these like new fun things to start the semester. My colleague Becky, who's now the CEO of Digital Labs, will be running a couple. I'll be running a couple. Canva's not the only topic. We have some on AI and some other topics. So please check that out. You can check out digitallabs.com and you can look at our webinar series. But yeah, we'd love to have you continue to join us. Yep, so there's that link. And I will, maybe, it's giving me a hard time, so I'll grab it the other way. Grab that link for you all, and then you can stick around and get that. Come on now. And then, of course, you can also scan the QR code. And then we would love to have you join us for any type of future events, whether it's these webinars, or of course, we also do lots of other things, whether it's in person or at conferences. Becky was actually just at NiceGate in, was it in Syracuse? It's in New York, Rochester? I don't remember. It's in New York State. And I think she'll be at FETC in Orlando. I'm going to try to go to a couple in the spring. So love to have you all say hi if you're at any conferences moving through the school year. And of course, love to have you. It was in Verona this year. All right, perfect. Thanks, Jacqueline. I see I was all over the place. I was all messing it up. But yeah, thanks for joining me today. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Good luck with Bulk Create. Let us know how we can help or if you have any future questions. Take care, everybody.